Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Real Science Exchange, the pubcast where leading scientists and industry professionals meet over a few drinks to discuss the latest ideas and trends in animal nutrition. And we're coming to you today from the Western Dairy Management Conference here in Reno, Nevada. Really excited about this next podcast we've got. It's going to be addressing the shift to feed efficiency based herd management, driving profitability with advanced data. So that's something that we've been dealing with recently in the dairy industry, and that is how do we measure feed efficiency? It's obviously been a key point of emphasis in other species, but we're just kind of getting to that now in the dairy industry. Before I get into that, though, I'd kind of like to introduce my co-host for today, Walt Cooley. Welcome from Progressive Dairy Magazine. Walt, give us a little bit of background about yourself. I think this is the first time to the pub for you. And since we're in the pub theme, and it's early morning here in Reno, but if you were having a cocktail, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Well, welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being on the podcast. We have a podcast for Progressive Dairy, which I help co-host, and so I'm no stranger to the microphone. Appreciate you having me here today to talk about some of the exciting things we're seeing here in Reno, as well as talk to some awesome producers. I am a non-drinker, so my cocktail would probably usually be pretty dry, probably just a ginger ale or a bubbly beverage of some soda variety.
Yep, very well. And then my color commentaries for this session is going to be Shane and Emily. And so welcome, Shane and Emily. Shane, why don't you start off? Kind of give us some background about yourself and tell us a little bit about your farm.
Sure. So I grew up in Maine on a family dairy farm in Maine, small farm, and spent my career in the dairy industry. Made my way to upstate New York, where became a partner in Adirondack Farm. So we're located in Clinton County, New York. That is right where New York, Canada, and Vermont meet. So way in the upper right-hand corner. So we call it two locations. One location just south of Plattsburgh and one location just north of Plattsburgh, and operate a few parlors between those two locations.
And how many cows again?
A few thousand cows
Okay.
in that region. Yep.
Right. And Emily, tell me about yourself.
I'm Emily Starseski. I'm originally from Western New York, and I'm a herd manager at Adirondack North.
Okay, very well. And our featured guest is Dr. Veronica Shabtai from the Afimilk research team. Welcome, Veronica. If you had a drink today, staying in theme, what would that be?
Okay, so if I had a drink, I would love like a pomegranate wine.
Nice.
She's originated in Israel and it's so tasty and also very healthy. Has lots of antioxidants in there. So
You
it
didn't
will
bring
really
any
help.
with you, did you?
No,
Okay.
I should have. Sorry.
Next time.
Yeah. So as you said, my name is Veronica Shabtai. My background is veterinarian. I studied in the Jerusalem University back in Israel. And I have some I have some large animal practice medicine in my background, and also been a research associate in UPenn with Dr. Dipti Pita. We studied some ways to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions,
Okay.
which is very, very on the topic
Yeah.
with feed efficiency. And today I'm a product manager in Afimilk for about 3 years now, and very exciting work.
Yeah. Good.
Love that.
I had the opportunity to go on several dairies in Israel about 3 years ago. Yeah, fascinating. They do a great job over there, right? In fact, I think they've got the second highest milk production in all the world, so higher than the United States, which is number 3. So they do a nice job over there. If you wouldn't mind, kind of give me an overview of the presentation, some of the key elements that you talked about yesterday.
New research is changing everything we thought we knew about choline's impact on the cow and her calf, and top scientists have a lot to say about it. They are presenting new research that supports choline as a required nutrient to optimize milk production, choline as a required nutrient to support a healthy transition, choline as a required nutrient to improve calf health and growth, and choline as a required nutrient to increase colostrum quantity. This new research is solidifying choline's role as a required nutrient for essentially every cow, regardless of health status, milk production level, or body condition score. Learn more about the science that is changing the game and the choline source that is making it happen. Reassure precision-release choline from Balchem. Visit balchem.com/scientistsay to learn more.
So I talked about the new capability that we have. It's actually within a feed efficiency sensor, we call it, but it's a collar, an AfiCollar, that on top of being a heat detection collar and having rumination and eating within it, and obviously panting for heat stress, we also have dry matter intakes within that. And being able to measure dry matter intake per animal, which is very new and exciting, you can now know with the milk production from our milk meters, the feed efficiency out of that, like how this animal is taking her feed and converting it into milk, how efficient she is. And from that, you can take the income of a feed. Like you know the income from the milk, now you know the expense from the feed, and you have every cow as profitable or not profitable and take new decisions upon this new data.
Yeah. So there are other kind of collars and tags that they measure rumination and things of that sort. What makes this different, and how is it exactly are you measuring this dry matter intake?
Mhm. So we are aware that many companies try to have dry matter intake within the collars, and it wasn't easy for us. It took us over 3 years of research to get there. Um, we worked with some partnering universities that have feed troughs in their research facilities. We worked in Michigan State University and in another university in Canada and Italy. And we looked at the algorithm that the collar is giving, that is based of accelerometer. It's very similar to other collars, how they work, and put it across the actual weight of the eating, the feed that the animals are eating.
Okay.
And, we correlated with the feed delivery that the farmers are giving us, and it all comes to very accurate data of up to 94%.
94%. Okay.
Yes.
What were some of the challenges you guys ran across in developing this algorithm?
So you take different seasons and you take different feeds across the globe. So it's not easy, and sometimes different breeds, I can say. And it's not easy to come up with that information. And the first kind of thinking is to look at eating time, because it makes sense. Like you look at this animal, you see her eating, and you say, okay, she's consuming feed. So we took this approach and we saw that this is the wrong one. And the new one actually worked. So we saw that it's not the eating time that we need to measure, but actually to look when the animal is consuming, ingesting the feed, and to measure that. And
Okay.
that's how it worked.
Yeah. Do you find a lot of variability between animals or even between breeds?
We do. So our research was done on Holsteins because that's actually what you have in research facilities. And today we're working on having an algorithm for jerseys. We are very close to having that. But I think it will be a good question for my friends from Emily and Shane, because they see the diversity. I know there is, but they can actually, talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great segue. So the proof is in the pudding, Shane. Emily, tell me about your experience with the technology so far. You've been doing it, as I understand, for about a year.
Yeah, so we had a greenfield facility. We started up last March, and that's when we started using the AFI collars and AFI lab, and were asked to be a part of their beta testing and jumped on it because sustainability is something we're looking at in all aspects of our dairy. We have a digester, and this just fed right into, now we can really look at sustainability in our cows too.
Yeah,
Emily can talk great on day-to-day use of the product.
yeah,
Yeah, so I utilize it every week whenever I get my lovely little report from Afi. And I think what I found was really interesting is the difference between individual cows, the difference between different stages of lactation, what their feed efficiency is going to look like. And it kind of was a test for myself, especially when looking at DMVs. I would make my list of who I thought needed to leave, and Afi was giving me a list, and it proved that Afi was giving me a really solid number that I could use instead of spending my time going out in the groups and trying to figure out who was the next cow to leave.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys deal with genomics and because I think the feed efficiency is relatively heritable, and I'm kind of curious if you've seen that match up at all.
So we do genomic testing. We aren't to the spot yet that we can really dive in with this, but that's something that we hope to work towards in the future. And that's what's exciting about any technology, and this one in particular is you start at one spot and it just keeps going, and you may think you know where it's going to end up, but most of the time you don't, and you end up in some pretty neat spots and some pretty neat decision making tools.
Yeah. So Emily, you said you get a report. Is that weekly? That comes from Afimilk. So the data is going to a data center somewhere, and then being crunched there, and then comes back to you in the form of a report.
Yes, that is correct. And like weekly, we enter in our dry matter intakes for our different groups, but we're also hoping that FeedLink will start to work with Afi a little bit, and that'll just happen without a person needing to sit at the computer and edit it in. But it's a relatively quick process. It
Yeah.
takes 2 minutes.
Yeah. So you've only been at it for a year, but have you seen a movement in the herd in terms of overall feed efficiency in the herd?
Can I add to?
Yes. Sorry.
So regarding the heritability of the trait,
Yeah.
right? So it's not like our knowledge. It's not Afimilk knowledge. It
Right.
has been published in many years of publication that feed efficiency is a heritable trait.
Yeah.
So one of the applications that we suggest to the farmer or we work with is if you want to be more feed efficient on your farm, you need to breed your most efficient animals to like sex semen, because these are the replacement heifers you want to have in your future farm. And those that are least efficient, those that are least profitable on your farm, maybe beef them or DNB if you don't need as much replacements or so. Depends on the farm. And so that's how we work. So Jane and Emily had the feed efficiency for several months, not even a year, I think. And to see those feed efficiency move, it will take some years.
Yeah.
So today, I guess they have the culling profit out of it, like the decision which is more profitable and which is least, and to cull first the ones that are least profitable. This is where the money, the small money maybe, the tactic decisions, but the future herd that they are building that's going to be very profitable.
Yeah.
And that's where we are going towards the decisions.
Okay. Good.
Veronica, I wanted to ask you, one of the questions that always comes up when we talk about technology for large herd dairy farms is tell me how it was built, and they want to have confidence that it's going to work. So talk a little bit about, the research setting. You're talking about feed bins versus maybe feed through headlocks, and some of the differences maybe in production of the cows that are on the research farm versus a commercial dairy farm. How have you accounted for that in bringing this to the commercial market?
That's a good question. Because we took the research, which we knew is very accurate and good, and then it went to the hands of kind of the product side, because we had a lot of data points, but we didn't really know how the farmer would want to use it. Because we want to bring it to our software and to bring it to decisions on the farm, but still there is a gap there. So we had over a year of pilot project. That's what Emily has touched upon, those reports that she's getting every week. This is the pilot where we send the farmer all this data and see how they use it, and we work closely together. And today in Reno, we're launching to have the feed efficiency capability within our software in AfiFarm to be available for our farmers, which is an exciting point for us. So part of having that in a commercial farm, because we don't have beans on commercial farms, we can't really test it as a research. But we have many points that add up for it being accurate. First, we have the farmers that use it and see that it aligns with what they see on actual farms. And we also, for our kind of reassurance, we did some testing in commercial farms. We took 2 pens and switched animals. Like we took from one pen 10 animals that are very high in the dry matter intake and switched from another group that are 10 animals that are very low in dry matter intake, and expected a drop in dry matter intake in one group and a higher in another. And it actually worked. I mean, it's not a surprise, but it's exciting to actually see that in the numbers. We did it in Israel, we did it in China. So it's kind of, another reassurance. And we have lots of stories to share of where like, oh, aha moments for our farmers. So, yeah.
Shane, talk about that. When any dairy producer puts any new technology on their farm, they're always kind of like, okay, well, is this really going to work? And you see that with activity monitoring. The first thing is, okay, we've been doing this by, intuition for a long time. Is the data going to show the same thing that our gut says? And talk about how this proved itself on your farm.
So yeah, I think we all take pride in the kind of cow people we are, and I want to go out and I can find the cow better than that thing, and you start to realize that um, the information you're getting back lines up with what you think, and when it doesn't line up with what you think, it's oftentimes the information is right, and you were proven wrong, and you kind of you can't you've got to put your ego in your back pocket when you're using this stuff, because this information, this science, the numbers really do true out to what's happening in the herd. And this so the dairy industry has kind of gone from individual cow management, smaller sized herds, right? Graining, giving that individual cow the right amount of grain that she needs, and the next one in the stall the amount of grain, and we transition to group management in larger facilities. And this and we've been very successful at that. Whether it's you make a ration and dry matter intake based on the group, you do your synchronization program based on the group. This technology really allows us to come back, take that group and come back to the individual cow and make those decisions on an individual cow level that brings us to the next level of performance, the next level of profitability. So it's exciting.
Yeah, Walt, if I might share a story real quick. I met a nutritionist. You gave a presentation yesterday coming out of the session, and just a nutritionist I'm very familiar with, and just had a very quick conversation. Very excited about the technology, and shared a real quick story with me about, this is, I think he said, earth shattering or groundbreaking, one of the two, and that it's and then shared a quick story about some research that he was aware of, where the high producing cows, they thought they were the great cows, the most efficient ones, and yet when they finally came up with, and I don't know how they got the dry matter intake, they were not the all stars they should be, because they were consuming lots of dry matter, and yet there were other ones that were far more profitable in the herd. So he was very excited about this technology. So just kind of reinforcing some of the stuff that you had shared as well. So.
Yeah.
Shane, yesterday in your presentation, you had mentioned something that I thought was really interesting and a lot of producers can relate to. Talk about the expense versus the income side of your business and how this gives you a tool to see both sides now.
Right. So, in running a dairy or running a business, and you're looking at your milk production or your milk income, it's great when milk price is high and you're thinking we're doing well, but that's only half of the story, right? You need the other side of that P&L to really know where you are. So that's what this helps us do on an individual cow basis. We've had the income side of the P&L for cows for quite a while. With the milk production or fat and protein, and we can pencil that out, what she's bringing in. But like that story about the nutritionist, that 100-pound energy corrected milk cow may not be as profitable as the 95-pound energy corrected milk cow.
Yeah.
And as Emily mentioned, that can really help us make the decision on the back end too, at the end of their careers, which ones, just looking at the milk, that's what we were using to cull before, just looking at the milk, just looking at repro. Now we can look at which one's costing us more to keep in the herd too.
Shane, when we first talked to you, you said you were one of the beta testers. First thing out of your mouth was sustainability, not profit and loss, but sustainability. Can you talk a little bit more about that? That's obviously top of mind and a passion for you.
So at Adirondack, and when we talk about sustainability, and this is not a phrase I coined, so I'd love to give credit to who it was. I don't know who it was, but we look at people profits, people planet profits, right?
Yeah.
So we strive to be an employer of choice. We strive to have good teammates, good people, and take care of our people, and we want it to be a fun place to work. That's what's going to sustain our people.
Yeah.
What's going to sustain our planet is working to drive efficiency, reduce carbon footprint. We have a digester. We do underground manure transfer lines and direct injection. This is another step in that direction. And depending on not everybody likes to hear this part of sustainability, but a business that's not profitable is not sustainable, right?
Sure.
So oftentimes sustainability initiatives like this with income over feed cost and feed efficiency, it's great because it aligns with sustainability, also leads into profitability.
Yeah. Great answer.
One of the questions I would like to ask both of our producers today is talk about that metric. You've got this great technology now. I always like to ask, what's that metric that you thought was important before? And now, as you're getting into the technology, maybe you're like, well, maybe it's not as important as we thought it was. What is that on your farm?
I think there's a lot of those things that we've looked at throughout the years. You know, one thing, if we were talking about nutrition, so historically, when you'd sample your corn silage, for instance, it was all about starch. We need that starch. What's the starch level? Or if you're looking at your haylage, it's protein. What's that protein level? What's that protein level? And as we learn more, now we know that not all starches are created equal, right? There's digestibility components. There's how well did it ensile. So, you know, that one thing we thought we were shooting for, we got to have high starch in our corn silage. We've really transitioned our thinking with a metric like that.
Yeah.
I think mine would have to be like percent pregnant by 150 days of milk, just because we continue to change voluntary waiting periods. And I think we're getting more and more technology to help us decide when the right time to actually start breeding these animals is. And I think that might start to become a obsolete number, or we're going to have to change what our KPI is for that.
Veronica, I think it's really important to share with the group here. I mean, it's a technology, but you don't have to necessarily go get a brand new collar to be able to bring this in. Explain, what the basics are a producer needs to have to be able to use the technology.
Yes. So the beauty of it is that you don't need to get a new color. The exact color that did everything like the heat detection, rumination, and eating now has the algorithm of dry matter intake. So it's the same. And for the milk production, you obviously need to measure that. So we have our milk meters. To know the fat and protein for the income over feed, it's nice, very nice, to have our milk analyzer, the Afilab, that you guys have. But we can also use the milk tests for that. It's less accurate because it's a monthly fat and protein, but still it's good enough for some of the farms, and it's great. And that's what we got as a product.
What are you most excited about launching this? I know you've been working on it. You said 3 years, but I mean, the day is here. So, what are you most excited about as this gets out to more farms that are just like ADK and really on that forefront of their technology use?
I guess to see it come to life, actually, like you sit in your office, not always, I like to travel and see my farmers and farms, but you sit in your office and you work tirelessly and you do the calls. And I'm based in Israel, so you stay up late at night to talk to the farmers, and it's a hard work. And yesterday or today, I feel like we're actually celebrating a point, like an achievement, not just mine, for all the team and the farmers we work with. And it's very, very exciting. And I know it's just the beginning of it, like to see what it can do and what buzz it kind of creates around it. We had a feeling, but today we have like a validation that it's actually here.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Exciting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, right? New product launches rarely go completely as planned, and I'm just kind of curious, was there any things that you found during the beta phase that you fixed and now as part of the product that you launched today?
There are several points that I would want to improve, obviously. I think it's just small tweaks. For example, in Israel or in other, like in Europe, you rarely cull animals that are pregnant. And so here, if the pregnancy is low, you don't necessarily want to keep those animals. So it was kind of a change that we did not have in our first version and will have soon. But it's something like that we need to add up, or things that are a bit different when you come up with that to the farmer, even it's from the beta to the actual launch, but you still don't have it.
Hmm.
It touched based on the sustainability before. So I wanted to add that today, I mean, we know that when we improve feed efficiency, we actually reduce the methane emissions of the animal, which is uh, very relatable to sustainability. So it's also something that we want to add to our software to actually have the capability for the farmer to measure his or hers farm reduction of methane emissions on their farms. So it's in our roadmap, I guess, or in our future plans.
Yeah, good. Kind of a similar question for Shane and Emily. So, you know, we've got a lot of technology. We're measuring a lot of things. What do you wish you could measure today that you're not? What's the next measurements that you want?
So I'm fascinated by AI. So
Yeah.
there, we have a lot of information on weather patterns. We have this information on markets. And is there, a way to build a tool out there to help me make decisions on contracting milk or contracting feed inputs based on, hey, this is the weather pattern we're seeing. This is what happened the last time we had that weather pattern. Here's where corn and soy is today. Here's what's going on in Brazil. Eh,
Yeah.
It'd be neat to have an easy button for that
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help make those decisions.
Yeah. So it's not about measuring more. It's about let's synthesize the measurements that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Emily, what are your thoughts?
I think a lot about people and like the employees that we have on the farm. And when I originally started with Afi at our new site, I was able to utilize some of that data to decide what I needed to talk to about each shift, each milking shift, who was doing really well in this area, who needed some help in this area. And I'd like to see more of that on a platform of, hey, first shift, they're taking a little bit longer to attach, or they have more kickoffs, but second shift, they might need to focus on getting the cows through a little bit faster. And I'd like to see using more of the farm technology that we have to help manage your people.
Ah, that's a great.
Yeah, the information's all there.
Yeah.
It's drawing it out or
Yeah.
creating some reports that can easily notify us of what the information's telling us.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Shane, you talked a little bit about the need to know versus the need to know. I want the audience to be able to hear you say this because I think that's really useful. The dairy producers I talk to think in that way: the need to know versus the need to know.
Yeah, I think we're talking about what there is out there for information, and there's so much information out there, whether it's from cow monitors or programs out there that the information and the pieces of information we have are endless. And what I call need to know information is information that's actionable. If we can take this and it tells us something that we can change to improve, that's need to know. Need to know is information that you can't necessarily affect the outcome of that. One example we have is when we enter freshenings, we record the time of day of every freshening on the farm. I'd like that to be need to know. Today it's need to know information. We can go back and, oh, she calved at 3 a.m. We're recording that. Maybe someday it'll help us learn something, or we'll be able to pick out a pattern that we can improve. But today that's neat to know information.
You give me so many ideas for the next innovation for Afimilk. I need to write it down. That's good. Yeah.
Veronica, any big topics that we missed that you presented yesterday?
Yeah, Shane reminded me that without machine learning, we wouldn't be here. I kind of, missed that huge point because we have the algorithm from the color, but it always goes to our software or to the cloud. And there we have a lot of information about the animals, lactation, days in milk, and so on. So many parameters that machine learning picks up and uses it to calibrate the data. So it's not only color, we always need like this new amazing AI that
Yeah.
we've got.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting.
And that's what's been neat about this program and software is the improvements are software, not hardware. So
Yeah.
they didn't come to us and say, okay, new system, you got to replace all your collars.
Mm-hmm.
They said, no, it's just a software update. We can do it on the back end. We can grab the information from your existing collars and improve the information we're giving to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's something that we talked about yesterday. Like you guys have the AfiLabs, and we are working. It's in the research, but still a little bit about the pregnancy checks within the AfiLab with the milk analyzer, which is mind blowing. So again, we work on the hardware we already have and try to come up with new ideas and new uses with that.
Yeah.
That's our goal. This capability really, you need high touch with the farmer. It's not like you give this to the farmer and that's it, and you leave the room and never come back. No, you need some meetings, some talks, and we're still improving and working on some onboarding sessions and plans because like every new information you need to see how it comes up to your routines, how you're going to work with that. You never worked with that before, and what is like the value of bringing that. It's not so easy to move one person from its like comfortable place. You need a very good reason to do so.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Veronica brings up a really good point that none of these technologies, I've worked with a lot of technologies, and oftentimes, there used to be a late night guy selling stuff online, and he would say, "Set it and forget it." I forget the name of it, but
Ron Popeil.
Ron
Ron
Popeil,
Popeil.
set it and forget it.
Yes.
These are not set it and forget it, right? It's transitioning your management, and somebody needs to be. I used to say, who's the guru? Somebody on your operation needs to be the guru responsible for that. And the technology is amazing and great, but it's not successful without Emily on the farm implementing it, making sure it's tight management for that technology.
Yeah.
And something to add to that is the person managing it needs to have a good relationship with whoever's providing it. Like I can ask Veronica, I can ask me any question that I have, and they can come back with me for a solution or help me go through things. So you need to have a good relationship with who you're getting your product from too for it to succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good comments.
Another like successful point for that is that we make sure our farms are great in heat detection, rumination, eating, health detection. Everything is set, and then we bring in the feed because it's a wonderful add up to a brilliantly working farm, successful farm, already doing great, and we want to add up to their net profit, to their management and so on, not just not for struggling. Then we need to address other things, obviously.
Yeah. Walt, anything else you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I have a question for each of our guests. My question is, what is the one thing for the farmers, when you walk around your dairy, what's that one thing you wonder? Like, I wonder if this is working, or I wonder if we should change this. And maybe for Veronica, as you've heard some of the producer feedback on your technology, you're wondering, I wonder if we could do this with the technology in the future. So that's my question to each of you.
So I think my wonder if goes back to AI, right? And I wonder if we can combine all this information. Veronica mentioned about machine learning, so Afi's already working on that. And I guess I liken all this technology to probably early on in tractors and equipment. They all used to have their own way of hooking to the back of a tractor years ago, right? And then we went to the 3-point hitch and the hydraulics, and everybody matches up now. Could we get that to that spot with information and technology so that everybody matches up and that we can easily use all that information to garner decision-making tools to help us manage our farms.
Yeah.
So I think that my role consists of a lot of wonder ifs, and I think a lot of different people that come to the farm bring a lot of wonder ifs. And I think what it all comes down to is like I wonder what I can do more to just let a cow be a cow. And I wonder how I can have people in the pens less and how I can do more in sort pens. And I wonder about that type of efficiency and what it does for our employees and what it also is doing for the cows of just being minimal with them, letting them do what they know what to do.
So one of the wonder ifs that like I heard from my farmers is, okay, I added this additive that someone has sold to me. I wonder if it works. So one of our farmers asked me, like, can you show me the income over feed for this second lactation and third lactation? Did it help? And then we showed him it increased and then decreased and so on. So it's not currently in our software, but it's something that I've been asked a lot. So I guess it will be there soon because it's interesting. Like I added something, how did it work? How did it affect my animals? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah, very well. Um, as we get ready to close down here, what I'd like to do is ask each of you to just kind of, if there's anything on your mind that you'd like to share with the audience.
Tonight's last call question is brought to you by Niasure Precision Release Niacin. Niacin is a proven vasodilator for heat stress reduction and a powerful antilipolytic agent for lowering high blood NEFA in transition cows. Protected with Balchem's proprietary encapsulation technology, you can be sure it is being delivered where and when your cows need it. Learn more at balchem.com/Niasure.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now, but I'm excited about the dairy industry. I always have been.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about where it's headed. And I think it's important for us to tell our story and let the public know that, cows aren't the problem. We can be the solution though, right? And creating energy and a good food source. And there was a speaker yesterday that said, milk is really the protein that's going to feed the world as the population expands. So I think that's what I would share is make sure you go out and tell your story in a positive way, and that we're the solution and we can help, and we're all on board with sustainability and carbon neutrality in the dairy industry.
Yeah. Great comments. Walt, anything you'd like to share?
It's been awesome to talk to some farmers today, as well as Afi and their technology stack. I like how you described it, Veronica, about the stack. Like you can start with activity monitoring, then you put the rumination on, and now there's another level you can go to on your farm if you have mastered all those other things. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. Emily.
I guess something that I'm passionate about that we didn't talk about is probably like dairy farm internships and stuff like that. I think farms need to do a little bit of a better job of getting new people out there because we need to show students and people in school or people out of high school that dairy farming is a business, and there's a lot that you can do within it with cows being in the industry, and farms need to do a better job of getting students out there and showing them what dairy farming is about.
Yeah.
And we need to get students to farms, get them dirty, and show them what the industry is about.
Yeah. Awesome comments. Veronica, few last words. Also, let us know, somebody's interested in this technology, what's the best way to find out more?
Okay, so I'll start with some things I think I see in the future, I guess. So we started with some application with culling and breeding and so on, but we have a lot on our minds going forward with the feed efficiency offering. We have some farmers thinking about like grouping animals by high and low efficiency instead of yield. We have some farmers already drying off cows by income over feed, if it's worth or not drying them off and when. So I seen that progressing in the next year or so, and we'll be in a different spot in a year. And I want to thank our partners in the universities, obviously, and also the farmers that we work with, that we couldn't have done that without them. For sure. Okay, so we have our USA site, Afimilk site, where you can find, you can leave your details and we'll come back to you. So I think this is the best way.
All right, great. Well, thank you for that. This has been enjoyable. Walt, thank you for joining us,
Thank you.
Veronica.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to you. I don't think you'll need it because this sounds like an exciting product. Shane and Emily, you guys are great ambassadors for the industry. I've loved the conversation today, so I want to thank you for joining us. It's been awesome.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to our loyal listeners, as always, thanks for coming along with us on another little trip here. We hope you learned something. We hope you had some fun, and we hope to see you next time here at the Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour and you're always among friends.
We'd love to hear your comments or ideas for topics and guests, so please reach out via email at anh.marketing@balchem.com with any suggestions, and we'll work hard to add them to the schedule. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on your way out. You can request your Real Science Exchange t-shirt in just a few easy steps. Just like or subscribe to the Real Science Exchange and send us a screenshot along with your address and t-shirt size to anh.marketing@balchem.com. Balchem's Real Science Lecture Series of webinars takes place on the first Tuesday of every month, with the top research and nutrition topics that will impact your business. We also include small ruminant, monogastric, and companion animal-focused topics throughout the year. Visit balchem.com/realscience to see the upcoming topics and to register for future webinars. You can also access past webinars and search for the topics most important to you.